Hey everybody, it's Mikkel Moose, and today we will be making a Sleeping Beauty inspired dress for an 18-inch doll. So for this project, you're going to need a sewing machine or a needle and thread, some scissors, some Velcro, a doll. You also need white fabric, and then you need to decide if you're going to do your dress in pink or in blue. I'm doing my dress in blue, so I have two different pieces of blue fabric. Ideally, you'd have one that was lighter than the other, but these are pretty similar in the shade of blue. But if you were doing it in pink, you'd have one pink fabric, and then you'd have a lighter pink fabric. So to begin, I'm going to take what would be my darker blue fabric. So to begin, I'm going to take my fabric, and I'm going to wrap it around my doll's waist. And I'm going to take a marker and mark where the fabric falls. Be careful not to mark your doll. So now I've got, this is the length, and then I'm going to fold the fabric, with that being the fold mark. And then I'm going to mark the fabric one more time, and I'm going to cut it. So pretty much what you're going to do, if you have a measuring tape, I don't know where mine went, I didn't feel like looking for it, but if you have a measuring tape, all you're going to do is you're going to measure the waist of your doll, and then you are going to double that. I think last time I did this, I did a skirt, and it was, I think 12 inches around her waist, so you just double that and do 24 inches, but this time I'm not measuring it. As you can see, I'm just kind of doing my guesstimation. Alright, so now I'm going to lay the doll so it goes to mid-chest region, and I'm then going to mark just below her feet. I'm going to move her over. I'll mark just below her feet again, and now I'm going to cut this out. Alright, so now I've got this nice long big piece of fabric for the skirt portion. Now we're going to leave this, we'll get back to that, and we're going to make the top portion. So for that, you're going to take that same blue fabric, or the pink fabric, whatever your darker color is, and we are going to wrap our doll in our fabric again, and this time we are figuring out however long we need the fabric to be to go all the way around her upper body. Okay, and so now I've got a smaller rectangle that's gonna be created into the upper portion of her dress. Okay, now I'm going to figure out her sleeves, and her sleeves are actually off the shoulder, which is something I've never done, and also that white piece worries me a little bit, but we'll figure it out. I'm going to take my lighter color fabric, and I'm going to wrap it around my doll's arm to figure out the width and the length that I'm going to need. So I'm just going to wrap it around. I'm going to go to the end of her hand, keeping it pinched. And then I'm going to add a little bit of length, or a little bit of width to it. So sorry I don't have the ability to give you guys measurements. So now I've got a little square of fabric, and all I'm going to do to get the next sleeve is I'm just going to lay this square down and cut out the exact same thing one more time. Okay, and now for the bottom piece, which is like kind of like a bunch of triangles around her waist. What you're going to do is you're going to take a piece of fabric, and you're going to find the length that is going to fit around her waist and enough to overlap. And I've cut mine extra long. And then all you're going to do is you're going to cut the zigzag pattern into the bottom, but make sure that those triangles are very exaggerated because you need to be able to flip over and have that seam allowance. Also leave some room up at the top as well for seam allowances and connecting it to the top of the dress. And this is the piece once I've finished cutting some really bad zigzags in there, but once I sew it they'll look a lot better. And then onto the next piece of fabric that we need to cut, which I think is going to be the most difficult for me because it's something completely different, is the shoulder sleeves, the top, the white part. And so all I did to figure out what length I need is that I took my fabric and I took a piece and I put it over her shoulder like this. And then I went to the middle of her back, and then that was the length. Like that. And now I'm just going to cut a rather large square out of it, like so. Well, that's not exactly square. Anyway, so now I'm going to fold it in half. I'm going to take the hemmed side, and I'm going to take the folded side, and that's the one that I'm going to lay over her shoulder. I'm just going to hold it there, and then, oh, you guys can't probably see her, and then I'm just going to cut off the corners here, just to get a more general shape of kind of what I'm trying to get. And then I'm going to turn her around. I'm going to do the back as well. Okay, and then I kind of end up with this weird looking thing. It will hopefully look more normal once I'm done sewing. I'm going to do it the other side, and then we will begin the other one, because you're going to need two, one for each side. I'm going to cut that, and then we will begin all of the sewing. Alright, so I'm going to take that piece of fabric that we have for her top. I'm going to wrap it around my doll underneath her arms. Put your hands up, Josephina. Yay! And I'm just going to make sure that I don't have too much excess fabric in the back. You do want excess fabric, but you don't want an overabundance of it. And as you can see, I've got enough. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold over the top. I'm going to fold over the top, and I'm going to sew it, and then I'm going to fold over the edges and on the side here, and I'm going to sew it. I will leave the bottom piece untouched. Alright, everything's all hemmed up, and so now I am actually going to go and attach the Velcro. I'm doing things kind of out of order than I normally do, and so I'm just going to lay this on her, and I'm going to take a piece of Velcro, figure out how long I want it, cut it, and sew it on, and then I'm going to do the next side by pulling it nice and tight, figuring out where I want that next piece of Velcro, and I'm going to sew it on as well. With the Velcro in place, this is what it looks like. It's like a tube top. So now we're going to grab our fabric for the bottom, now we're going to grab the fabric for our skirt portion, and we are going to fold over the bottom and hem it. We're going to leave the sides and the top alone. So the bottom is all hemmed. And for the top, all you're going to do is take a needle and thread, and go through and do a very simple in and out stitch. It does not need to be pretty in any way, shape, or form. And once you get to the end, you're actually going to bunch it up. And that's why we have all that extra fabric, is so we can get a ruffle into the skirt. Before you tie the knot to the end, you want to make sure that you can wrap the fabric and it will overlap before you tie the knot. So this actually is going to work for me. So I'm going to hold the string right where it's at. And I'm just going to tie a knot at the end. So now that I've got my fabric all bunched up and nice, I'm going to sew the fabric. I'm going to go good side to good side. And I'm just going to sew the skirt to the top. Okay, and so the skirt is now attached to the top. We'll spin, and it's open in the back, but we'll remedy that with some more Velcro. Wonderful Velcro. And just so you guys know, when you are sewing the top to the bottom, it's going to want to push all of the ruffles to one side, so you do need to keep pulling them closer as you are sewing. So just keep an eye on the ruffles as you're sewing. This dress actually kind of looks like a Cinderella dress to me right now. It's a bit long, but yeah, it kind of looks like a Cinderella dress. Do you guys want to see a Cinderella dress tutorial? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, so on to making this dress more like a Sleeping Beauty dress and less like a Cinderella dress. So now that we've gotten all of the dark blue fabric put together on the doll, we are going to start moving on into the lighter blue fabric, or the different shade of lighter blue. So to begin with the sleeves, all you're going to do is you're going to fold over one end and hem it, and you're going to do this on both sides, and then you're going to go good side to good side and sew all the way down. Time for an outfit change. Ta-da! Okay, so sleeves are done. The Velcro, I put another piece of Velcro on the bottom here. Ooh, I need to resew that. Yeah. So Velcro on the back, and the sleeves are done. So now we are going to go on to the next blue piece, which is this one. So I'm going to fold over the top, and I'm going to sew that, and then I'm going to fold over all of the edges and go through and just hem the entire thing. Okay, I've finished this. I actually had to add on an additional spot over here because it looked really funny and it was a little bit too small, so I needed something just a little bit longer. And I've added the Velcro, as you can see, and it's all sewed. And so all you're going to do for this piece is you just wrap it right around her waist and then Velcro it. And this piece probably could look a bit better, but for my first time figuring out how to do something like that, I think it turned out. Gosh, guys, this is why I don't film during the day. This is... Now all that's left is that white part that I was worried about earlier. Talking about kind of just... I'm going to sew this good side to good side into the shape that I want it to be. And it's going to be kind of like a elongated triangle. Let me draw it out real quick. Or something kind of like this shape. As you can see, I'm going to sew that, and I'm going to leave just the top of it open, and I'm going to flip it right side out. So I'm going to do that real quick. Once it's all sewed, you're going to leave the extra fabric, and then you're going to flip it right side out. You may need the use of like a pen to push everything along, or a marker or something. But once you're finished, you're going to have something like this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two pieces, and I'm going to go from the center of her chest, wrap it around her arm, sew it on here, and then sew it onto the back. So that way it'll hold the sleeve up. Hold it there. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other side as well. And for this, I'm actually going to be using hand stitching, just because that's what I'm going to do. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial for a Sleeping Beauty inspired dress. I'm actually pretty happy with it. The only part that I don't really like is the centerpiece, because I had to extend it, but overall I think the dress turned out really nice. Comment down below if you like it, and also if you have any ideas for what you think I should make next. Remember to subscribe, because I make videos like this often, and have a great week. Bye. Where'd my scissors go? Ow. There they are. I'm just gonna bunk your head.